Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex P. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Friday, January 23rd. Ian Cameron with you. Alex taking the day to rest. He'll be back tomorrow. Matt Robinson is actually traveling with the Reno team, Reno Ice Raiders. They're off to Santa Rosa, California for a road trip this weekend. Couple of games on the road with his senior men's hockey team. So good stuff there with Matt. They've got to start streaming their games, though, Santa Rosa. I noticed they don't do that for their home games like Reno does for their home games, which gives you a chance to watch Matty Rob in action. You don't get that chance when they're on the road. But nevertheless, it's good to be here. We actually might have a special guest joining us in just a few moments as well. So stay tuned for that, joining me here on this edition of the show. But we got a big Friday card. How about the fact that we have 8 games tonight on this Friday? Pretty crazy that we have 8 games on tap. This is definitely rare air for a Friday night in the NHL that we have 8 games on the schedule, but that's a great thing. Lots of great games to talk about. We'll get to those in just a moment. But first, we have to reminisce on a great betting night to talk about for Thursday. It was actually a tremendous night for the most part. A couple losses here and there, but way more wins for sure. I had a great night. Alex had a phenomenal night. A lot of his bets ended up coming through in that, especially Florida, Winnipeg. There were a lot of things that fell his way with that one, but it was just a phenomenal night start to finish. And after last night, we are now this close, at least I am, this close to plus 50, the big 50, 50 units of profit on the NHL season. So it has been a spectacular season so far in the NHL. I said I hit 40 units of profit a week or two ago. I'm gunning for 50. And I'm going to get to 50 units of profit. So I'm excited about that for sure. We're going to try to hit that 50-unit mark. Hell, we might hit it tonight. Hopefully, we can hit it tonight. But last night was a great night of hockey. We start with Dallas and Columbus. I thought Columbus, start to finish, did everything so well and so right for Charlie Coyle. They did right by Charlie Coyle. It was his 1,000th career NHL game. They had his dad, Chuck, come into the dressing room, read off the starting lineup. Before the game, he fired the cannon with the Coyle family during that game last night. And the Jackets played one hell of a game. Great defensive effort. Spectacular night for Jet Greaves. Actually, both goalies, Casey DeSmith in a losing cause, ended up playing pretty well. So you give that both goalies credit. It was a hell of a great defensive game. And Columbus ends up getting the 1-0 victory over the Dallas Stars as Bones haunting his old team. Of course, he was the head coach of the Dallas Stars for several years. Took him to the Cup final in the COVID season, and Columbus gets the 1-0 win there over the Dallas Stars. Buffalo beats Montreal 4-2 last night. We hit the first period over. We did fall short of the full game over in that game. Not for lack of trying for Montreal. It was I think, a guy that's kind of been up and down on the road. We talked about how the home road split numbers for Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and he's been noticeably worse on the road. He had, I thought, one of his better road performances last night. 2 goals allowed on 34 shots. He was very good. It was not the greatest of nights once again for Samuel Montembeault. And I made the remark about the shorthanded goal, which really put Montreal behind the 8 ball in the first period from Beck Malenstein. You got to poke check him. You got to do something. You can't make it that easy, for crying out loud, to just dipsy-do, whoop-de-doo around you and put the puck backhand style into the net. You got to do a better job than that if you're a Montembeault. But nevertheless, it was a nice win for Buffalo. They kind of sat back a bit too much, but hey, the goaltender stood firm, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and another nice, obviously, road win for the Buffalo Sabres. No letdown in this team. We keep thinking maybe the other shoe's going to drop on the Buffalo Sabres, but that just hasn't happened. Boston, 4-3 against Vegas. They erupted for 3 goals. I thought Judd Surratt was going to lose his voice, having to make 3 big goal calls in that first period in like a 2-minute span. But nevertheless, Vegas did not give up. They made things very interesting in the third period, got to within 1, but Boston held on. And the Bruins got a 4-3 win over the Golden Knights. We did hit first period and full game over in this game, which was great to see. We lost the Vegas team total, but I was a little bit more invested in the full game over more than anything else in that game last night. So Boston hangs on, and Vegas now back in action tonight in the Mitch Marner return to Toronto showcase game, if you will, against the Leafs tonight. So very interested to see how that plays out in Toronto. We'll get to that in a bit. Great game in Chicago and Carolina. This ended up, it was an ESPN Plus game, and it ended up being a pretty entertaining game. And we knew once Frederik Andersen was confirmed in net that there was going to be a chance here for Chicago in this game. And they saw that chance and they took it, as Steve Winwood once said, when you see a chance, take it. They saw that Freddie Andersen was in net, and they said, we see that chance, and we are definitely going to take it. And like I said, they got the job done. It was an opening to have the chance there to win that game. For the Chicago Blackhawks. They got started on the right way with the Ilya Mikheyev shorty in the first period. One thing that is worth noting here as well with Chicago, the first period goal, we loved that bet. I certainly did, at least. Minus 112, and they actually got the first goal of the game. So I'm kind of miffed that I didn't go the extra mile with Chicago first goal, first period. But nevertheless, we still had Chicago to score a goal in the first period last night. But yeah, it was definitely a very entertaining game. Carolina answered back. Joel Nystrom got his first NHL goal. Nick Lardis, short side goal. I think Anderson would have wanted that one. Jordan Staal ties it. Nice wrist shot. Connor Murphy just crashing the net, jumping in from the point. Gives Chicago a 3-2 lead. Jackson Blake, and you know what ticked me off is I didn't bet the draw pregame, and I was going to after Chicago made it 3-2 in the third. I'm like, I don't know if I fully trust Chicago to close this thing out in regulation, and I was going to bet the draw, and then fucking thing locked up on me because Jackson Blake scored like less than a minute later to tie the game 3-3. So that was a bit frustrating, but it was a really good result. We had Chicago first period goal. We actually did sprinkle on full game team total over and money line with Chicago once Freddie Andersen was confirmed in net. They weren't big bets, but nice to hit them, especially for the price that it was. And how about Oliver Moore on his birthday, getting the shootout winner for the Chicago Blackhawks, and a great 4-3 win for the Chicago Blackhawks. It was a great game. It was a great call, too, by Bob Wishoes. That guy is not good. He's great calling hockey. He had some great calls, some of those goals, some of the action we saw back and forth in overtime. And Blackhawk fans get him again here tonight because Bob Wischusen's on the mic for Tampa Bay, Chicago, which is on the main ESPN network here tonight. But just really, really enjoyable hockey game and a nice road win for Chicago. We'll see what they can do tonight, though. Soderblom, not night tonight when they play on a back-to-back against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, like I said, that'll be interesting to note if they are, tough spot. We'll see how they handle it against the Tampa Bay Lightning. This was brutal, man. This was probably the most aggravating result of the night for me. And actually, funny is I still ended up in this game 2-1-1. 2 wins, 1 loss, 1 push. We had the team total over 3 for Ottawa. That was a push. We had Ottawa money line. That's a brutal loss for Ottawa. You've got to bring that game home. You need points desperately. You're trying to get back into the playoff race. You're up 3-1 going into the third period on the road. You got to close that game out. They weren't able to. It's a horrendous loss, bad as it gets for Ottawa. 3-1 lead goes by the wayside, and they end up losing 5-3 to the Nashville Predators. Steven Stamkos hat trick last night for the Predators as well in that comeback victory. I can't even fault Reimer too much. Reimer made a lot of good saves. I think a lot of the goals that went in the third were more a product of just his clown defense in front of him, which was not good. Turnovers, gaffes galore, no question about that. And like I said, give Nashville credit, though. Here's Nashville, 1 point, I believe, out of the wild card now. So the Nashville Predators have poked their head back into the wild card race right now for the Nashville Predators, and a great 5-3 win. So again, we did hit the over by Fecta, the first in the period over and the full game over. That's now 12 straight first period overs now, by the way, for the Ottawa Senators. Crazy run that has been. And full game over hits. We lose the Ottawa money line. We push the team total with Ottawa. But disheartening loss for the Ottawa Senators, or a phenomenal comeback for Nashville, depending on which way you want to look at it. Very, very tight, low scoring, good goaltending, playoff style game. Florida, Winnipeg last night, 2-1 Florida in a shootout. Glad I stuck to my stuck to my beliefs there. I thought if Florida is going to make a run and a push to get back into a wild card spot, it's got to start with this game. You're starting a road trip. You lost 4-1 to San Jose at home. You got to start the road trip with a W, and they were able to. Wasn't easy. I give Daniil Tarasov credit. Tarasov got the start for Florida. He played very solid in net here for the Florida Panthers in this game, and they get the 2-1 win. We lose the over, but we do hit with Florida as they get the 2-1 shootout win over the Winnipeg Jets. Much needed for them, and we'll see if they can build on it now. It's nice to win that, and it's a starting point, but if you're the Florida Panthers, you do have to build on that victory and try to string some together. Boy, oh boy, Tristan Jarry, a nightmare start. I mean, he gave up 3 goals in the first 3 minutes. He gave up 3 goals on consecutive shots to the Pittsburgh Penguins in that opening period. 2 by Mantha, 1 by Crosby, and it was 3-0 Penguins, and that was pretty much all she wrote. You know, Edmonton looked like they might get back into it. Jake Wallman got a short-handed goal to make it 3-1, but then, you know, about 5-6 minutes later, bang, bang, 2 goals quickly for Pittsburgh, 5-1, and that was that. Game over. But give Pittsburgh credit. Wow, what a run it's been for the Penguins. And if you don't believe me that they're, you know, better defensive, well, they did actually get Carlson back last night from injury, the Pittsburgh Penguins in last night's game. But nevertheless, they still were without Letang last night. But, you know, they're playing a little bit better defensive hockey. And this has been quite the run that the Penguins have put together. Penguins are second in the Metro division right now. Pretty crazy stuff. Wild to see where they're at right now. They're firmly in a playoff spot, not just in one, firmly in one right now. The Pittsburgh Penguins with the second place in the Metro Division standing that they're in right now. So credit to them. And a back-to-back after being in Calgary the night before, 3rd road game in 4 nights. So all the credit goes to the Pittsburgh Penguins for a very, very good road win last night in Edmonton. And then a great game to end the night. Detroit, Minnesota. I thought there was, you know, great pace, back and forth type of game. Detroit, you could tell maybe they got a little fatigued later in the game on a back-to-back, but, you know, they hung in there pretty good, Detroit. That was a tricky spot for them. And to be up 3-2 in that game, they'll be disappointed. You know, they lost in overtime 4-3. Minnesota tied it right after Detroit took the lead. And then it was obviously Kirill Kaprizov finishing it off in overtime, set up by Quinn Hughes. 2-goal night for Kaprizov and a 4-3 Minnesota win. And one of the best total streaks in the NHL just keeps on rolling. Minnesota overs. They have been phenomenal. We're now, 13-1 in the last 14 games to the over for Minnesota. And we're now 16-4 to the over since Quinn Hughes got there. So it's the gift that keeps on giving, these wild games going over the total. It happened again last night, and very happy to cash that best bet with Detroit and Minnesota over 6 last night. So, like I said, very, very excited about the way the night went. It was a great night, very profitable night, and I know Alex had a pretty significant night as far as profits go. And like I said, looking forward to try to duplicate it here on Friday. I think we're going to try to bring in our guest now. We have a surprise guest here. We'll see what the reception is. Now, this is someone you guys know very well. This is a guy that is one of our great supporters. He's in Patreon all the time saying, let's win the day. He just sent me a DM the other day saying, hey, you know, I'm trying to get into this business more as a handicapper, trying to get better at it, trying to work at it every day. And I want to try to, you know, improve my skills and get better at this. And I wouldn't mind having the opportunity to be on the Ice Guys show at some point. Well, when Alex, I found out, you know, was a no-go on the injured list today, I will say, I said, why not bring him on today here last minute, see if he can make it happen. Now he's in his car. He's on his phone. We'll see what the reception's like. It seems like it's good. But you know him well. He's on our betcast a lot, and he's one of our great supporters from down in the great state of Mississippi. It's our guy, Tim Whartonby. Here he is. Tim, what's up, my friend? Welcome to the show, your first daily show here.
Yeah.
How are you, my friend? Things good?
I appreciate it, brother. Hopefully this connection it will be good enough. I will have to pop out for like 5 minutes just to give my kid his stuff while they're at the playground here. But yeah, I'm waiting for my son at school, and I appreciate the opportunity.
No doubt. You certainly aren't probably going to take the amount of minutes I did recapping yesterday. So what stood out to you from last night?
Last night, let's see. I was looking for more of a live live bets with the first period overs and the totals being over, and I got busy with my boy like I usually am, and I missed down on the first few games I was targeting the Boston over, and I missed down on that one, and then I was targeting the Buffalo game as well, missed down on that, and so yeah, I just kind of laid back and had the plays that I was already on. I was I was on uh, I was on some goal props. I was looking for a Hyman goal. In the Edmonton game, I was on the Edmonton team total over, and then but I try to pay close attention to the goalie confirmations because they're constantly changing, and that's what kind of threw me for a loop there when I seen that Jari was in and not Ingram, and it would have been better off going with Pittsburgh because they got to him like they did the last time they played, and but I did hit that guy for Pittsburgh that they just picked up from
Shinnikov.
Columbus. Yeah, Chinnikov. I had his goal, so that made my night. So, but that was about it.
Oh yeah, nothing. No doubt. Like I said, good. Then that was a good, and he's been good for Pittsburgh. He has been. He's played really well. He's been chipping in offensively since he got there. Yeah. Regarding Michael is asking, how do you split the units on the game? For everyone, it's different. I go 1 unit, quarter unit. Well, 1 unit. Excuse me, 1 unit, half unit, quarter unit is the majority of the bets, and then the real tiny pizza bets are like 0.1 units. And then
Yeah,
all you do is you associate a dollar figure to 1 unit, and then you go from there. So if your 1 unit is 1,000, then your half unit's 500, your quarter unit's 250, and your 0.1 unit is 100. That's how you basically manage your bankroll. So that's just the quick,
yeah. Yeah,
you know,
bankroll management is the
yeah,
most important thing when you're in this industry.
yeah, no question, and that's important. And I'm very regimented with the unit structure. Like I know which ones are my strongest. They'll be the 1 unit plays. I know which ones will be half unit, which I like but don't love. The
Yeah,
love plays are the 1 unit plays, and then the quarter unit smaller. That's what I do a lot with the dogs, especially the bigger underdogs. I'll go just quarter unit, and even in some cases, like with Chicago last night, I just went 0.1 unit on Chicago money line because that one I said I got to take a piece of it, but at the same point in time, wanted to keep that relatively small because I do remember the last time they were in Carolina, they did battle them, but they did lose 3-2. So again, yes, unit bankroll management and the structure you use as far as deviating your units and associating which dollar figure. And again, the dollar figure with 1 unit for me, and it should never be more than 3% of your bankroll. You have to
yeah.
treat this like it's a long game, okay? Because you will have an inevitable losing streak. You will have an inevitable slump. And that is why nothing should exceed that magic number. At least for me, it is the
Yeah.
magic
You never
number of 3%
never
of your
get too
bankroll.
high.
Yeah.
Never get too high. Never get too low.
Yeah, no question. So it's worth talking about every now and then because we don't really talk
Yeah,
about that stuff.
it's the
Bankroll management.
most important thing in this industry.
You bet it
You
is.
stick to that, and you'll be good. You can make some money in this industry. But
Absolutely.
if you don't follow it, you're gonna lose your money real fast.
Yeah, no doubt. If you think those is the best bet I've ever seen, and you go, 10 times more than you normally do or always do, and you lose that bet, now you're just spending months, if not years, just digging yourself out of a hole that you created yourself with bad bankroll management. Where if you just stayed, regimented and disciplined and structured, you would have been able to avoid that. So very, very important for sure. All right, let's get into the Friday card. We got a lot of games, 8 for a Friday, which, like I said, is a lot. We'll start with Tampa Bay, Chicago. Tampa Bay minus 280 road favorite, 6 the total. This is the bite the hand. I've said this in the NBA show. The bite the hand that feeds me. Bet of the day for me. And yesterday in the NBA, it was which team was I'm trying to remember. No, there was another game where it was fading a team that I just won with. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. You're fading a team that I just, we won a Chicago first period, a goal bet last night against Carolina. We took the small money line flyer on Chicago, and now we're turning around and we are going against Chicago here in this. It's a tough spot. It really is coming off that win against the Carolina Hurricanes last night. And that's Raleigh to Chicago, and you're losing an hour because you're going from the Eastern time zone to Central time zone. And who the hell knows what time it was? It was probably after midnight local time when they got back to Chicago. And now they're playing, obviously, back to back here against the Tampa Bay Lightning team that's playing great hockey right now. John Cooper deserves all the praise for navigating 3 defensemen being out, Braden Point being out, and all they do is they keep winning games. 9-1 in their last 10. They're off. They lost that one game in a shootout against St. Louis, and even then they still picked up a point. And then they bounced back and they beat Dallas to end the road trip, came back home against San Jose, and they beat the Sharks 4-1 in that game. So they're just playing outstanding hockey. I think they're in definitely the more advantageous spot. Alex has talked about it, and we've kind of hinted at this, that Arvid Soderblom has just not been as good of late. I know he had his moments early in the season where, look, he had some really good starts, but we haven't seen the best of Arvid Soderblom lately for Chicago, and he's likely going to be in net. Overall, the numbers aren't great. 3.97 goals against, 868 save percentage, but in the short term, he's coming off a game where he gave up 5 goals on just 23 shots against Boston in a 5-2 loss. He gave up 3 goals to Pittsburgh. He gave up 3 goals to Dallas, 6 goals to Ottawa. So his form has been trending downward, for the better part of the last month. So the way I'm going to approach this game here is just, keeping it simple, straightforward, is Tampa Bay team total over 3.5. You can get that at around -140 or so. I'm going to shop around, see if I can get a little bit of a cheaper price with that. But, if you want to take Tampa first period puck line, you can. The thing I would say about that is sometimes the team on a back-to-back, they got a little adrenaline in that first period on a back-to-back. And it's later in the game where the fatigue sets in a little bit more. So that's why I'm opting to just go with the full game here. And that's Tampa Bay team total over 3.5. Looks like -135 at Pinnacle is the best price with the Tampa Bay team total over 3.5 here in this game. And it is worth noting for Tampa Bay, they've won, they're 9-1 in their last 10 games. 8 of those 9 wins, I'm pretty sure, 8 of those 9 wins, they've scored at least 4 goals. So when Tampa Bay's been winning, they've been getting to 4 goals, with the exception of that one win, which was against, I believe it was Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh in a shootout. They only won that game 2-1. 8 of the 9 wins outside of that, they've scored at least 4 goals. So it's Lightning team total over 3.5 for me. Tim, anything you like here? Tampa Bay, Chicago.
Yeah, you were talking about Soderblom. His last 10 games, he's given up 44 goals. He's got negative 9.6 goals saved above expected. So I'm looking.
Oh, wow, I love that stat. Wow, great
I'm
stuff.
looking to fade him and Chicago in the back-to-back. Possibly the puck line, depending on what kind of number I can get. Or possibly, like you said, though, you got to watch out for these teams on a back-to-back. In the first period, they still kind of have their legs. But as the game goes on, maybe a live second period puck line or something.
This is ESPN, by the way, just so everyone knows. National TV game tonight, ESPN. And Bob was choosing calling the Chicago game for a second straight night as well tonight, which is a good thing because he's excellent. As far as props go for this game tonight with the Lightning and the Blackhawks, let me just see here. Obviously, last night, or on a back-to-back, we saw there we go. Yeah, we saw Mikheyev get a shorty last night. Frank Nazar returned from injury. Nazar, Bertuzzi, Mikheyev, the second line. Green, Bedard, Burakovsky up there on the top line for the Chicago Blackhawks. Donato, Moore, and Lardis, the third line. So there's definitely, I would probably look at Lardis again. Lardis is maybe affinity because of the fact he played for Hamilton Bulldogs, Brantford Bulldogs close by, but definitely good value there. I mean, you're not getting great prices anymore, but he's red hot. He's a former Blackhawk. Hard to ignore Brandon Hagel right now for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's been absolutely outstanding. He used to be, with the Chicago Blackhawks earlier in his career. So definitely liking the Brandon Hagel prop, probably worth a look here in this one. And Jonathan alluding to the fact Chicago 2-4 on the second half of a back-to-back, and the losses were 9-3, 7-1, 4-0, 7-3. So yes, very noticeable. They've had their when they've lost on a back-to-back, it's been ugly and it's been blowout city. So we'll see what happens. And yes, Spencer Knight over saves. Man, that was a sweat. But David C. from Raleigh got it done with his best bet yesterday on the show. And a lot of us were on that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually on that one. I forgot to mention, and there was actually a couple other shot props that I was on, but I forgot to mention. But in this one, Frank Nazar might be a good look.
Alex
He,
agrees. Alex is
yeah,
in the chat.
he got
Nazar.
some
Yep.
he got some shots last night in that game. So he's a pretty decent look.
And he got the rust out of his system now. He's probably going to
Yeah,
have more rhythm, just feel a little more confident, a little more fluid on the ice tonight now with a game under his belt. So all the more reason to maybe look toward this being the night where Frank Nazar finds the back of the net for the first time since returning from injury. All right, Vegas, Toronto. Here's the game everyone's talking about. Mitch Marner and his return to Toronto for the very first time as a member of the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas minus 125, road favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Vegas, tough loss last night to Boston. That just one bad period really got the better of them in that game. They ended up down 3-0 in the first, tried to rally back, but was too little too late, and the Bruins hung on for a 4-3 victory last night. Back-to-back situation here for Vegas going into this game. The injury report for both teams, but for Vegas, it's really getting worse. Colton Sissons, Brett Howden, William Karlsson, Braden McNabb, Brandon Saad. Of course, Carter Hart, the goalie, is still on IR. A lot of injuries mounting here for Vegas. Last night, we saw Akira Schmid in net, which means Aiden Hill is likely going to get the start, as he did against Toronto last week. And we saw in that start for Hill against the Leafs in Vegas, it was his first start back from that long absence, and he did not look sharp. He looked rusty. He looked like he was fighting the puck quite a bit. We saw that with Mackenzie Blackwood for Colorado. He had been out for a while. He returns against Nashville. He gives up 5 goals in that game. Hill gave up 5 goals last week in the game against Hill gave up 5 goals in the win against Toronto. They won 6-5 in overtime, but he still gave up 5 goals. And now you've got Anthony Stolarz. That's the big news. Stoli, the goalie. He's back here tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's been out for months, and this will be his first start. We knew he was close to returning. He's been skating again. He's been on the ice, but they didn't send him down to the AHL for any conditioning stint. Not one. So usually they're going to try to give you a couple starts down in the minors, give you some game action before you come back. They didn't do that. So they're just throwing him in there tonight against this Vegas team that's coming off a loss. It's a pretty good offensive team right now. That power play is pretty good. And this is becoming a bit of a system play for me moving forward. Overs in games where the goalie has been out for a while and he's coming back. We're starting to see it. We saw it with Aiden Hill last week in this very head-to-head matchup. First game back in a while. He's given up. How many goals did he give up in the first period? 3? He looked rusty as shit at the early part of that game. Totally, he lost his net on a couple of those goals. He wasn't square to the shooter, rebound control, tracking the puck, you name it. Aiden Hill was not good. And we saw that with Mackenzie Blackwood, too, because Nashville got to him early when he started for the first time after being out against Nashville. And Nashville went in there and put 5 goals in Colorado against Blackwood just recently. And now we've got this same type of situation here with Anthony Stolarz tonight. He's been out for a while. I don't trust him to be sharp. And on top of it, best form right out of the gate here in this game. Not to mention, again, they didn't give him any conditioning starts down there in the American League. So I'm going to go over by Fecta here in this game. First period over, full game over with Vegas, Toronto. Not to mention 5-1 overrun for Toronto, 6-3-1 overrun for Vegas, 5-1 to the over in the last 6 meetings between the Golden Knights and the Leafs. I don't know if we're going to get 6-5 again like we did last week in Vegas between these two teams, but I do think we're going to see enough goals to push it past the 6 that we're seeing with this total. Not to mention, I expect the adrenaline to be just raging through the veins of these two teams. Vegas, trying to bounce back after last night, trying to support their teammate, Mitch Marner. The Leafs, in that charged up environment, and they will boo his ass. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. It is going to be tons of boos. It's going to be a very, very, raucous environment for Mitch Marner to have to deal with here tonight in this game against his old team. So, like I said, I think the adrenaline and the pace, and that's the thing. I think the adrenaline is going to be flowing for both of these teams, and that's going to drive, I think, maybe a higher pace in this game than it otherwise would be. So, I like the over by Fecta here with the Golden Knights and the Leafs. And I'm going to sprinkle on the draw here in this game. It's hard not to. Toronto's been an overtime machine lately. Vegas has had their share of overtime games. They just went to OT in Vegas when these teams met last week. So I think the draw could very well be live. Yeah, I'm going to definitely look toward Marner props. The goal prop is just not a good enough price. I'm going to try to see if he can really stick it to them tonight. 2+ goals and the hat trick. And the over 1.5 points. I'm going for the bigger prices, the better prices on some of these Mitch Marner props tonight. You can bet your goal prop. You can bet your assist and your point prop. I'm going to go for the 2 goals prop, the hat trick prop, the over 1.5 points prop here tonight for Mitch Marner, just for a little better bang for your buck and a little bit more value right now for those. So that's what I'm looking at here, over by Fecta draw and some of those props. Dorofeyev right now is Skorofeyev, as some people are calling him right now. He's been great for the Vegas Golden Knights. So certainly you could go in that direction as far as goal prop here in this game is concerned for Toronto. Going into this one, let me just see what their lineup looks like tonight. We talked about McMahon and Domi with Matthews. There's certainly value. I find that Matias Michelli, has certainly been getting his looks lately. We could always, Nick Waugh against his old team. Everyone's talking about Marner. Nick Waugh is playing his old team here, the Vegas Golden Knights. Maybe you can take a shot with that. I think it could be an Easton Cowan goal night, too. Everyone remembers him getting knocked off the puck by Mo Seider in the overtime loss against Detroit, leading to the game-winning goal. Maybe he looks to make some redemption for that here tonight. So maybe Cowan can find the back of the net here as well. Tim just stepped out for a minute. He'll be back in a little bit. In the meantime, we'll move on to St. Louis, Dallas. Dallas minus 160 home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this one. This is a game where, I have decent opinion on the first 2 games. I don't have much here. Dallas is not a lay minus 160 with team for me right now, not with the way they're playing. I know they got the win against Boston to snap the drought, but this is still a team that's 3-10 in their last 13 games, which isn't great by any stretch of the imagination here. And St. Louis, but they're off back-to-back road losses, and they're on the road again, and they have just been awful on the road, St. Louis. I think it's a 8-game road losing streak. Let me just count it up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-game road losing streak for the St. Louis Blues. They haven't won a road game since they beat Florida 6-2 in Florida on December 20th. And I remember that game against the Panthers. It was a horrible spot for Florida, and I actually did like St. Louis in that game because of it. So you could even say the one road win against Florida was more so, wow, they caught a team in a bad spot. Not really a sign of greatness from the St. Louis Blues. We got Jordan Binnington in net. We'll see how that goes. It's Dylan Holloway, just when they got him back, he's out once again for the St. Louis Blues, but Binnington will be in net. Last 3 starts, 0-3, 5.03 goals against average, 828 save percentage going into this game. I mean, Dallas just ain't scoring. Outside of the Boston game where they opened up for 6, they got shut out, of course, by Columbus last night, 1-0. Significant rest advantage for St. Louis. This is only their 3rd game since Sunday, and they've been off for 2 days. And here's Dallas with the 3rd game in 4 nights and back-to-back, after being in Columbus. So it's a tough game. I can't bet it. I can't even recommend an under with Binnington in net, but I could see this being like 4-1, too, where St. Louis just doesn't get anything, and it does stay under. Dallas gets 4, but does St. Louis even get to 2? Here in this game? That ends up being the question. And the one thing, too, with this Blues team is here we go again with the problems putting the puck in the net, right? Just 1 goal in the last 2 road losses combined against the Jets and the Oilers. So maybe you do a St. Louis team total under here. That could be the way to approach it. But for me, no bet. I passed on this game. Tim, what do you think here, St. Louis, Dallas?
Well, I actually took a Dallas money line tied with the under 7.5. I got it for minus 112.
That's good. That's an Alex special. Alex likes doing that.
Yeah,
good
that's
stuff.
what I was going to say, Alex B special. That's what I went with. But seeing that Binnington is confirmed, it's kind of scratching your head because he's been awful.
He's been awful of late, too. 3 straight losses. And like I said, 5 goals against. Yeah.
The Blues on the road, they can't score.
But so again, you pushed that under up to 7.5 with the parlay. So you've got way more wiggle room I have a hard time thinking it goes over 7.5. Like, even if Binnington is awful and he gives up 4 or 5, it could be 5-1, 5-2, and you're still good. So
that's why I liked it. But it would definitely, I'm still not afraid of it. But with Binnington in that, Dallas should win this, but they ain't scoring. They're
not consistently. You're right about that. That is for sure. And they got shut out last night by the Columbus Blue Jackets. There's not even a ton of props I'm interested in. I'll give let me see what the Dallas line combinations are. I guess I would say from a value standpoint right now, I see Robertson, Hintz, and it looks like Rantanen is still a no-go tonight for Dallas here. I don't expect him at least to play. He was out last night with that illness, but Maverick Bourque might be on that top line with Hintz and Robertson. If that is indeed the case, may look toward certainly Maverick Bourque for a little prop value here in this one. All right. Oh, by the way, Vegas, Toronto, because you had to step out.
Vegas and Toronto, it's going to be a live over for me with the goalie change and Stolarz being in net. He hasn't played since November 11th. So, I like goals. So I'll try to grab a first period over live and the full game over live in that one. And I'll probably go with a Dorofeyev goal.
Yeah, no, the Dorofeyev's red hot right now. There's no doubt. So he could do a lot worse with a goal prop choice tonight than Pavel Dorofeyev. That is for sure. All right, Washington, Calgary. Washington -130 road favorites, 6 the total. I previewed this game on the Beyond the Lines video series, a daily video series. Check it out at the Wizard Sports Picks YouTube channel. We previewed this game. We recommended Washington in this game on the money line. I am on Washington -130. I know they're struggling. I know they're not playing well, but Calgary I think is worse. I mean, I've watched Calgary now in 2 games without Rasmus Andersson since they traded him to Vegas, and they just don't generate. They're not generating much right now. Their offense is not scary whatsoever. Washington has had some issues now, giving up goals during this little skid that they're on. But this should be a spot for Spencer Carberry to, get after them a little bit. Yeah, that's unacceptable. Having a 2-0 lead in the first period against a lowly, woe-begotten Vancouver Canucks team, and letting them, come back and beat you 4-3 to snap that double-digit game losing streak. I think they get back on track here. It's just Calgary, I think, is just listless offensively. They've scored 1 goal against New Jersey, 1 goal against Pittsburgh. They didn't even crack 20 shots on goal last game. They barely got to 20 shots on goal against the New Jersey Devils before that. So, and Washington's had good track record here at the Saddle Dome. They've won 4 of the last 5 meetings here in Calgary against the Flames. So, and they need it. And I also like the fact that for Washington here, 0-2 start to this road trip, 0-4 in their last 4 if you include the 2 home games before the start of this trip. And they've got Edmonton tomorrow night. And I know Edmonton has not looked good the last couple games, losing to Jersey, pounded by Pittsburgh last night. But that's still the tougher game on a back-to-back. You damn sure better snap this skid tonight if you're Washington, because that's not an easy spot on a back-to-back against what should be a PO'd, pissed off, Edmonton Oilers team tomorrow night. So I'm going to lay it with Calgary. Or Washington, rather. I don't love usually laying prices with road favorites very often, but I will make an exception here in this game. Washington for me -130. What do you think here, Tim? Washington, Calgary.
Yeah, I'm with you. Washington Capitals money line. I know it's not the greatest play considering their form right now, but I'll also look at shot props, Chickering over shots, Strome, and see if there's anyone else that stands out. But that's what I'm targeting in this one.
All right. Devin Cooley confirmed, by the way, for Calgary in net. I'm not that shocked by that. I do expect it to be Logan Thompson. Logan Thompson was in net for that Vancouver loss. I watched those goals go in. Not a ton of them were his fault. There were breakdowns. There was a bad bounce. Evander Kane's goal, he just bounced it in off a Washington player in front of the net. Nothing Logan Thompson could have done, about that. I think he was more unlucky than bad the other night for the Washington Capitals. So, like I said, I like the Caps in this spot. We'll take a shot. If they don't win tonight, then there's some real problems because, Edmonton on a back-to-back won't get any easier for the Capitals tomorrow night. As far as props go for this game, the one thing about Washington is we've mentioned a lot of these. There is some good value right now with the way their lineup's configured. We know about Ovechkin. We know about Protas. We know about Tom Wilson, who's now back. But there's legit value with the likes of Ryan Leonard. Justin Sordiff has been a noticeable offensive player for them. He's on the second line centering it. And Ethan Frank, who is on the top line for the Washington Capitals. There's great value with some of those caps that are not being priced the way they should be, given their position in the lineup at the moment. So all those players I mentioned, Leonard, Sordiff, Frank, I think they're all good value on the Washington side. Sharon Govich, Jonathan, I think, mentioned him already. That's probably the player to target right now. Yeah, he's feeling it. He's been one of Calgary's, one of their lone bright spots offensively here in recent games, and he's been finding the back of the net for them. Looks like Jonathan Huberdeau's back. They did not have him for the game the other night when they lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins, but it does look like Jonathan Huberdeau is back from a lower body injury that kept him out of that game. So he'll be back for the Flames. All right, Philly, Colorado. Colorado minus 300 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Give me Flyers' first period goal. I mean, it's the system play again. Minus 300 favorite. It came through again last night where, we saw Chicago get on the board in the first period of that game. Now, my one concern here is we got Colorado off that 2-1 shootout loss to Anaheim where Lukas Dostal, or the Dost Wall, as they've been calling him because he was so good in that game, was phenomenal. 40 saves, got the shootout win. So I think definitely, you could see Colorado be angry and want to bounce back. But the Flyers right now, I think they get on the board early, just like they did. Remember, they were off the loss to Vegas, actually they beat Vegas 2-1, and then they got off to a quick start against Utah. They've been a good quick starter at times, but they blew that game in the third period. They got into penalty trouble. Maybe playing in the altitude kind of got to them. Utah was able to come back and get a 5-4 overtime win against Philadelphia. I know Rick Tocchet again bemoaning the fact that the team just not, tightening things up, shutting things down enough in the third period with the lead, which bothered him. But I expect, if anything, that will feed into Philadelphia, I think, coming out with some energy here, blowing that game the way they did against Utah. I don't know what it is about Colorado, but this is now about a couple weeks span where I've not been impressed by them. They've been okay. They haven't been at their absolute best. They're not playing at the level we saw earlier in the year. I don't want to use the R word, regression, but we're seeing it with Colorado. They're going through a little bit of a tiny malaise right now, and it's nothing to panic about. But right now, they're just not playing their absolute best hockey, Colorado. And that's why at the moment, it's hard to back them at these prices when you know that they've been a little bit vulnerable. Now, let's be honest. I mean, look at the last 10 games. They're only a 5-5 team. They're a 500 team in their last 10 games. They lost to Florida. They lost to Tampa. They lost to Toronto. They got crushed by Nashville at home. They lose in a shootout to Anaheim. They're not playing their absolute best level of hockey. And to be quite honest with you, other than beating Carolina, the wins were St. Louis, Ottawa's inconsistent, Columbus before the coaching change, and then Washington. And Washington was struggling and is struggling. So they're not playing their absolute best hockey right now. So, like I said, I like Philly to get on the board in the first period. I don't trust Philly to win the game, but like I said, Philly to score in the first period here makes some sense. I'm going to sprinkle on over by Facta, but I'm going to wait to see if I can get a little better in-game. I just don't love the numbers, and I don't love the prices right now. Like first period over here is minus 150 in some spots, and the full game over is 6.5. I find maybe I can wait just a little bit, maybe get 6 or 5.5 with the full game total in-game. But right now in this game, I do see it being higher scoring, but I do think I might just sprinkle small pregame and look for better numbers, better prices early in the game live. What do you think here on this one, Tim? Philly, Colorado.
Yeah, I'm looking for live overs in this one. The first period over more so, especially if Urson's confirmed. So he gives it up, and I think Colorado really bounced back here. But yeah, it's been a struggle for them lately. But I like a Brock Nelson goal, and the way he's been playing, and maybe sprinkle the Olofsson on the first line for a goal.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Victor Olofsson, I'm seeing him with McKinnon and Natchez. If that stays true to form, once again, there is good value for sure with Victor Olofsson on that top line for the Colorado Avalanche going into this game. We've got Lehkonen, Nelson, Valeri Nichushkin, the second line right now. But yeah, Olofsson, definitely good value there as far as his prop if he does indeed play on the top line for the. I was going to say, is anyone going to say, you know what, Philly's in Colorado, the city is, of course, the city's name is Denver. Does that mean we should be betting Denver on the Philadelphia Flyers to score a goal tonight? Denver Barkey, Denver scoring in Denver. Yeah, Robert. Hey, if that's your angle, stick to it. Whatever floats your boat, as they say. But yeah, Denver and Denver getting on the board for the Philadelphia Flyers. Makes sense, right? How can Denver Barkey play in Denver and not score a goal tonight?
Yeah, I'll sprinkle that for sure.
That's just one of those pie in the sky, crazy ass things that I can actually see it happening, as crazy as it is. There's no stats to back it up. There's no hockey handicapping and fundamental matchup thinking to lead you to bet Denver Barkey to score tonight, other than Denver and Denver. Denver Barkey scoring in Denver. That's it. It's just this crazy play on words with his first name, essentially, leading you to the window to bet that prop. All right, next up, we've got Anaheim and Seattle, but some Blackwood, by the way, for the Colorado Avalanche and net. Ersson for the Flyers. They just have to go with Ersson. I mean, there's not the Kolosov's worse. I'm telling you. I'm here to tell you, he's worse. Alexei Kolosov is worse than Ersson. So you just got to grin and bear it right now if you're Rick Tocchet until Dan Vladar comes back. That right now you just got to put Ersson in there and hope for the best. All right, Anaheim, Seattle. You've got Seattle minus 115 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Now, the only thing I have here is first period over. Just got to ride it with Seattle. I mean, it's a pretty good run that they've had first period over this Kraken team. Islanders Kraken. Went over in the first period the other night. And, that was one game where I was like, if there's one game that's going to break up and end this first period over streak for Seattle, it could be this Islanders team. Sure enough, it didn't. And the game still ended up going over the total in the first period. It's now 10 straight Seattle games that have gone over the total in the first period. So, we'll rock with that. That's really all I have here, first period over. I lean Anaheim. I'm not going against Anaheim. They're heating up again. They've won 5 in a row. I am a little concerned about coming off the big win against Colorado and maybe a little bit of an exhale spot for the Anaheim Ducks here. Not to mention, I think I'm pumping the brakes on underrating Seattle at this point in time because look, they got a nice 4-1 win. Now, they had lost 4 in a row, but the schedule was pretty difficult for them. Long road trip in the East. They had the predictable bad spot against Pittsburgh coming home off the road trip. They did beat the Islanders here, and they do still have a pretty decent home record overall. Like I said, it's Anaheim or pass, but I don't know if I love this spot necessarily for Anaheim. Something feels off for me about wanting to back Anaheim here in this spot. And not to mention, look, they gutted it out against Colorado, 40 saves from Dostal, who I do expect to start tonight. It will be Philip Grubauer again for Seattle. Continues to play really well the last month or so. But this team could still be with no McTavish, no Carlson, no Troy Terry. All those guys were out the other night. And yeah, they found a way to win, but that's still a lot missing from your lineup right now for the Anaheim Ducks. Like I said, it's Anaheim or pass, but something feels a little off-putting with this spot for Anaheim that I think I'm going to pass on betting the Ducks tonight, but I will be on that first period over. 10 straight for Seattle with the first period over entering tonight. Tim, what do you think here? Ducks, Kraken.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see if these guys the lineups are confirmed and everything with the players potentially being out. I actually lean to Seattle. Given with the players being out and Anaheim coming off of that ridiculous game against Colorado where Dostal stood on his head. He was the Dost wall.
He sure was. Yes, he was.
As of right now, I ain't got nothing, but I was leaning Kraken with the potential lineups that could happen.
Yeah, no question. So, like I said, and this is a big game too. This is actually a good game. It actually is because Seattle's right there in a wild card spot right now, or just out on the outside looking in. But they're right there in the wild card race right now in the Western Conference. Let me just get the updated numbers. Yeah, they're second wild card right now, tied with San Jose and LA. All three of those teams with 53 points for that second
And
wild card spot in the Western Conference. So every game is huge for them.
yeah,
Anaheim
Everly,
5 points just ahead of Seattle. So it's a big 2 points tonight.
yeah, Everly's been playing well since he's come. Yeah. So
Jordan Eberle, yes, indeed. Yep. No question. Like I said, he's been picking things up a little bit offensively of late. But yeah, no question that has been something that has been a little bit noticeable is the way he's been able to perform here for the Seattle Kraken of late offensively. Let me see what the lineups look like here tonight as far as props are concerned for Seattle. By the way, they're peddling Shane Wright trade rumors are starting to heat up again that they might be shopping Shane Wright at the moment for this Seattle Kraken team. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, Eberle's a good, solid choice for a goal prop. Berkeley Catton, there's still some value if he's up on the top line for the Seattle Kraken. I think if I were to look at props for Anaheim right now, I'm seeing the possibility that, they could have, we'll see who's in first. We'll see if McTavish is back. He's the one that's likely going to be back. I don't think Terry Carlson, any of those guys are going to be back. McTavish might be back because his injury is only day to day. But if he's not back, they had Jansen Harkins way up there in the top, two center spots. So keep an eye on that. If he's up there in the lineup again, that might be good value on Jansen Harkins here tonight for the Anaheim Ducks. All right, we got 2 games left. New York Rangers, San Jose Sharks. San Jose minus 115 home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. I get it. This is San Jose off a road trip in the East Coast. They're coming back from Florida, the Florida two-step. They played Florida, Tampa. They beat Florida in the game with the Bobrovsky-Nedeljkovic goalie fight. And then the very next game, they lost 4-1 to Tampa. And this is usually historically a bad spot for San Jose. And maybe it is again tonight. But they haven't played since Tuesday. They've had 2 days off. They've had some time to acclimate themselves, get readjusted to the Pacific time zone again. And the counter argument to this is Rangers fucking suck. They're terrible, man. They're absolutely brutal. They actually can score a little bit on the road, which is the one positive you can say about the Rangers, but their defensive play is hideous. Their penalty kill is awful. They can't get saves right now. Quick hasn't been good since Shesterkin's injury. And if they go to Spencer Martin tonight, who gives 2 shits, he's not any better. We don't trust him either going into this game. So I think the price is just cheap here on San Jose. It's too cheap. San Jose minus 115. I like it. I think they get the job. They're just a much better team. And you know what I also like, too, with San Jose? Off a loss, how good they've been, this San Jose Sharks team. Not just good, they've been terrific off a loss. San Jose, 14-4. Their last 18 tries coming off a loss. 14-4 for the San Jose Sharks in their last 18 games following a loss. So that's a very good track record. This has been a good young team that's been able to bounce back after a setback, as evidenced by that record of 14-4 in their last 18 off a loss. So I like San Jose minus 115. We got to bet these Rangers overs. We just got to keep hammering them until proven otherwise. I think they'll find the back. I think they'll find the back of the net, though. I could see San Jose making some mistakes. Long road trip, a lot of travel. Maybe you fumble the puck a bit. You're a couple breakdowns defensively here in this game. Open the door for the Rangers to score, and I think San Jose can get 4, 5, 6 here against this Rangers team. And obviously against a guy like it is going to be Spencer Martin, but like I said, he's not very good either. Maybe he's a little bit better right now than Quick, but that's not saying much. That's splitting hairs between bad and worse from a goaltending standpoint. Not to mention there's been a recent over history with the two teams as well. 8-1-1 run to the over, by the way, for the New York Rangers in their last 10 games, and it coincides with the Shesterkin absence. Like they just can't defend now. And the goaltending is just not NHL caliber without Shesterkin. What else can I tell you? Quick and Martin aren't it right now for them. Yeah, and I'm looking at it even more. Not only 8-1-1 to the over the last 10 for the Rangers, 6 straight overs on the road. San Jose, 5 straight overs at home here in the Shark Tank. 5 straight Sharks home games have gone over the total. So all the trends are pointing to the over here. So over 6.5, San Jose minus 115 here for me. Tim, what do you think here? Rangers, Sharks.
Yeah, I like the over. Given that both these goalies are going to be in net, you got Martin. His last 4 games, 12 goals, so he's given up 3 goals a game roughly, and he's got a negative 4.3 goals save above expected. And then the Rangers on the road, it's just overs, and they should be able to score. So they play much better on the road, yet they still struggle to win. But Sharks at home, and they've been waiting. I like an over.
There you go. Over 6.5 as well for Tim with Rangers and Sharks. I only stayed off the over in the LA game because it was the Kings, and we know they're not always trustworthy to score goals. And even they scored 4 against this Rangers team. And the only other reason I stayed off because I thought Quick could dial back the clock a little bit and deliver a great performance against his old team. And I don't think you could fault him for some of those goals, but obviously, still gave up 4 at the end of the day, and the game still went over the total. So, like I said, now we're back on the Ranger over Express now. I stayed off it for 1 game, regretted it. And like I said, now we'll get back on it here tonight. As far as props for this game, for San Jose, I'm going to just, for the Rangers, I guess if I were to look at, because I could see them scoring. Gabe Perreault might be with Zibanejad and Miller on the top line. If that's the case, I'm going to look to Gabe Perreault, certainly for a goal prop for the Rangers. For San Jose, Will Smith's red hot since he's been back, playing with Celebrini, Colin Graf on the other side of that line. That's the starting point, in my opinion, for goal props. Tyler Toffoli's been heating up lately. Could go in that direction here as well. We've talked about Regenda, Wenberg. Anyone on the top 6, really. Graf, Celebrini, Smith, Regenda, Wenberg, and Toffoli for the San Jose Sharks. But I would say the favorites of the bunch would be Smith, because he's on a heater right now, and probably Colin Graf, who just has been very, very solid on the top line here. Adam Gaudette, says Robert, plus 400, who can always be a little bit of a sneaky goal scorer at times. And Robert's liking him to find the back of the net here for the Sharks tonight. All right, our last game for this Friday slate, New Jersey, Vancouver. We've got Jersey minus 145, road favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. This is just a rock and a hard place game for me. I don't want Vancouver. I know they finally won a game, snapped the losing streak, which was at 11 games. They probably celebrated it a bit more than usual. It sure felt like that watching the post game. When you're that kind of a team, I don't trust you to win 2 games in a row. I don't trust bad teams to win 2 in a row. I normally say that often when you snap a long losing streak and you win a game, normally I'll start riding that team. Not when it's a really bad hockey team. And I think I'm now at the point where Vancouver's a really bad hockey team. So I don't trust Vancouver as I would certain teams in this spot to snap a losing streak and then get on a run and start going on a heater. I don't trust that at all, not one bit, with the Vancouver Canucks. The problem is, I'll be damned if I'm going to lay this kind of a price on the road with New Jersey. Can't do it. And not at this price. It's just not good enough value. My approach will be if Vancouver leads, maybe they have a little adrenaline, little pep in their step early. They did finally win a game against Washington. Maybe they get on the board early, and then New Jersey at a plus price. I'll bet them live in game. So, like I said, that's going to be the approach here going into this game. Apparently, Jonathan's saying you have to go back to March of last season when Vancouver won back-to-back at home. Holy shit. March of last season. So, obviously, they haven't even done it one single time this year, win back-to-back home games, the Vancouver Canucks. So, we'll see how this one plays out. It would only be New Jersey, but I'm going to see if I can get plus money with them. Maybe Vancouver gets the lead at some point, and then if that happens, I'll take New Jersey at a plus price. Tim, what do you think here? Devils, Canucks. I think Tim's his reception had been good up until this point. Looks like it's dropped out on him here, so we'll see if we can get Tim back. This was last minute, asking Tim to come on, and it's like I said, he was willing to do it from his phone in his car. So, but it did a great job. We'll see if he is able to reconnect before the end of the show. In the meantime, Hughes obviously props. Now again with this game, this is No more Quinn Hughes in Vancouver. I guess the angle would be that if you're going to take Jack Hughes, as far as because Luke Hughes is out, you're not going to see him play tonight, but he's on IR. But what, Jack Hughes wants to stick it to the Canucks for trading his brother? I don't know. Yeah, or that he's just a really good player, obviously, and is capable of finding the back of the net against a team that's obviously had issues keeping the puck out of the net. Dawson Mercer's kind of the one I would look at here for New Jersey as far as a goal prop, second line. Little bit of value there. I guess for Vancouver, I'll give you one for Vancouver. This guy has been scoring for them, even during this horrific run that they've been on. And he scored now in back-to-back games. How about Drew O'Connor? Here for the Vancouver Canucks? That's actually a goal prop I like. And there's not much I like about Vancouver right now. But Drew O'Connor, who right now is lined with Brock. Oh, and Philip Heedle's back. Oh, geez, I didn't even realize that until now. Yes, returning to the lineup tonight against the New Jersey Devils. This will be Philip Heedle's first game since October the 19th. That's the last time he played. But yes, Philip Heedle. Now, how long is he going to be back for? That's the big question. Seems like the next injury for him is always just right around the corner. But Philip Heedle is back from a upper body injury. And like I said, looks like he will play here tonight for the Vancouver Canucks. All right. Great stuff. If we don't see Tim again, he did a great job. I agree. Everyone, look at these comments. Landon, Tim, solid job. Glenn, beauty job, Tim. Look at all these great comments about, oh, there he is. He's back. We haven't seen the last of him. There he is. What's up? How are you? You're back.
Yeah, my phone overheated.
You know what we'll do? Tim? We'll let you go in a minute. What we'll do is we get your thoughts on New Jersey, Vancouver. We'll get your bargain bin from you, if you have one, and we'll get your best bet from you, and then we'll let you run. But you did a great job last minute. We'll get you on again for sure on the show.
You appreciate it.
You already told me which days you're available, so good stuff indeed. So let's wrap it up, Tim. Last game on the card. What do you think here? Do you have anything betting-wise here with New Jersey and Vancouver?
It was a pass for me. It was a complete pass. Vancouver is typically an under, like, as far as they don't score enough goals. And they actually, I faded them last game with their team total under, and they went off against Washington. So I'm just going to stay away from this one.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I forgot to mention, too, the Rangers in that game against San Jose, 6 straight, actually it could be 7 straight first period overs. If I'm not 6 or 7 straight first period overs for the Rangers. So I'm turning that over 6.5 into a bifecta. That will be first period and full game over because of that Rangers first period over streak, which has been very strong, obviously. Good stuff indeed there. Jonathan's liking Devils power play goal because the Canucks PK has given up 7 goals in their last 13 situations when shorthanded. So that's not good. Obviously, that's terrible penalty killing, in fact. So, yeah, Tim, great stuff. All right, Tim, we'll run the ads, and I'll give you bargain bin and best bet after that. But we'll get your bargain bin. Do you have one, a bargain bin special?
I was looking at is it he's on the second line for Washington? That Seedorf.
Sort of, Justin Sort of. Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah, I was looking at him. I meant to take him last game, and he scored. So I'm going to take him this game as my bargain bin.
Yep, I like it. I actually have a Capital as my bargain bin from that game, but it's not Justin Sort of. But, plus 460 with Justin Sort of. Great price. So we'll give you that one. Justin Sort of, Washington, plus 460 for Tim Whartonby with his bargain bin special. All right, best bet. First ever Ice Guys best bet, Tim. Make it count. What do you got? Let me hear.
All right, I'll go with the Vegas Toronto first period over. I'm going to try to grab it live, but that's what I was looking at. First period over in the Toronto and Vegas Golden Knights game.
All right, Vegas Toronto first period over for the best bet here for Tim Whartonby on his Ice Guys debut. That is over 1.5 minus 130. The best price out there with that. So first period over, Golden Knights Leafs for Tim with his best bet. Tim, we'll let you run. Awesome job. I mean, that's pretty.
I appreciate it, guys. Sorry for the interruptions.
Nothing wrong with that. Anything you want to add before we wrap it up? Any message you want to send? Everyone loved the appearance, by the way. Everyone.
I appreciate it. I apologize to everybody. I wasn't able to talk with y'all in the chat like I typically do. I'm on my phone, so I didn't want to be swapping back and forth. But hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
There you go. I know. The parents are watching you become a star right before our very eyes here.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Ian, Alex, everybody, JD, Dre, Pirlo, Boring Bets, everybody out there, Robert. Appreciate y'all.
No doubt. We appreciate you too, and I know they appreciate you. But you can't leave without giving everyone your signature line on the way out.
Let's win the day.
There you go. Win the day, win the night. He always gives us one of those, Tim, and you always see it on Patreon. But, Tim, great stuff. We'll let you run. Good luck tonight. Cash some tickets.
Let's go.
All right, there he is. Tim Whartonby. Great job here on the Ice Guys show. We really thank him at the last minute, giving me a little assistance here on this Friday edition of the show. I could do a solo show. I got no problem doing a solo show. And you know I do a pretty good solo show. But it's always better when you got someone else with you alongside. Makes it the show a little bit better. You get a second opinion from someone. So we thought we'd invite Tim. And Tim was last minute, was able to join us and did a great job. All right, wizardsportspicks.com. Check it out. Lots going on, NHL, NBA, college basketball. People think of me as the hockey guy. And I am number one on the website in the NHL and number one in the NFL. We're going to have some conference championship picks posted on the site and 5-0 run now in the NBA this week. It's been a great NBA week. And we got a big NBA card tonight on the site at wizardsportspicks.com. But 5-0 NBA streak. Last night we had the Sixers. We had the Hornets was as easy as it gets. God almighty, that was a horrible spot for the Orlando Magic. If anyone pays attention to NBA, Orlando's coming off the 2 games in Europe, first game home against Charlotte, and they were blown out as a favorite on their home floor. It's a great spot to take Charlotte. So we had Charlotte Hornets, we had the Philly 76ers. They beat Houston in overtime, and we had the over in the Golden State Dallas game. Told you I'm good with overs, not just in hockey, not just on the ice, but other sports too, with that Golden State Dallas over. So it's been a good NBA run, number one in the NHL, number one in the NFL. Check out the daily Beyond the Lines video series on the YouTube channel as well. So check it all out, and all the great handicappers at wizardsportspicks.com. And, of course, patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. We have 2 Patreon-exclusive live betcasts coming up next week. All right, next week. We're going to have 2 live betcasts for our Patreon members. So now's the time to get on board and sign up with a membership at the Patreon page if you haven't done so already. Just $10 per month. Your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys. And check out the Ice Guys store. Get your Ice Guys gear and your merch over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got the 20% off for the next 3 days of all orders. So make sure you check it out. 3 days left to take advantage of the 20% off your order at the Ice Guys store. So check it out, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bet coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Please for yourself with my mouth is no Kings and Queens shop.
Thanks to all our sponsors, including Royal Cannabis. Check them out, royalcannabisshop.com. 20% off with promo code Ice Guys. All right, bargain bin special of the night. We heard from Tim. He's got Justin Sordiff for the Washington Capitals for his bargain bin special. I've got a Capital too, but it isn't Justin Sordiff. It's Ethan Frank. Ethan Frank plus 450, the best price out there. Could be on the top line once again with Ovi tonight. Ethan Frank for the Washington Capitals plus 450 for my first bargain bin special of the night. And my second bargain bin special of the night, I was mulling it over, before the show. But I've talked myself into actually, even though the team sucks right now, well, they did win finally the other night. I think I've talked myself into Drew O'Connor for Vancouver. He scored in back-to-back games. The guy's had chances pretty much every recent game I've watched of the Vancouver Canucks. And plus 500, FanDuel, DraftKings, they all have plus 500 here with Drew O'Connor. I think it is definitely worth a look. So Drew O'Connor for Vancouver, plus 500 to go along with Ethan Frank for the Washington Capitals at, I'm blanking on the price. There we go, plus 450 for Ethan Frank. So there's my two bargain bin specials for tonight. Ryan Green for Chicago is Alex's bargain bin special tonight, plus 475. So Ryan Green, Chicago, plus 475 for Alex with his best bet. All right, best bet. Alex's best bet is first period over with Tampa Bay, Chicago. The ESPN game tonight, so watch and win with Tampa Bay, Chicago. Over 1.5, minus 130 in the first period for Alex B. Smith with his best bet. My best bet for this Friday card, Rangers Sharks over. I was going to go Sharks, but it is coming back home off a road trip. Rangers could score tonight. I could see that. So I'm just going to go total instead in that game. All the trends point over. 5 straight home overs for San Jose. 6 straight road overs for the New York Rangers. 8-1-1 to the over in the last 10 for the Rangers. And they've just become an over machine with this goaltending situation of theirs, which is pretty awful right now. So I expect both teams to score there early and often. New York Rangers, San Jose, over 6.5, minus 130 for my best bet here for this Friday NHL slate. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And like I said, we've got another great card coming up tomorrow on Saturday, and we will be back with you to break it all down. We've got less than 2 weeks until the Olympic break, so now's the time to try to make this money in the NHL, and I've certainly done a nice job doing that here the last, all season, but especially of late. So we'll be back tomorrow for the big Saturday slate. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. Thanks to Tim Whartonby for joining us. Did a great job. I'm Ian Cameron. And have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll be back with you tomorrow on Saturday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.